Thank you. Hey guys, did you get your instances ready, guys? Kshitij and Raj, did you get your
Yes,
demo instance?
Saloni. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Which version did you pick it up?
I think I picked Helsinki.
Okay, I asked Jakarta or Istanbul actually. Helsinki is okay, but it's a little bit old. So I'm having Helsinki. I know it is okay only, but it's a little bit old. So that's why if you can get it is upgrade to Istanbul or Jakarta, I think that will be much better.
Okay. Yeah, I will do it after this session.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So did you get a chance to see the instance? Did you guys just walk through the instance to see how the look and feel of the system is there, how it is behaving? Did you try at least to create an incident? Do you know what is an incident at the first place? Either of you? No? Okay, not a problem. We will be walking you through anyways. Okay, so let's start with that development work. Let's start with, I think I completed it till SAS yesterday, correct? I talked about what is SAS, what it is used for and stuff like that. That is, I told you, SAS is what? SAS is software as a service. What it is used for, that is, if a tool is based on SAS, means the owner of the tool is always responsible for maintaining or upgrading the instance. You as a customer, you as a client of the tool is just using the tool, but the database and the server scope of the tool is always there with the owner of the tool. Correct? So now let's proceed further with the other topics. Let's see the other concept over here. So let's see the next thing over here. So after SAS, what we are going to cover over here is we are going to see the history of the tool. Let's see the history of ServiceNow. So what it says is that ServiceNow was founded in way back in 2003 by a guy called Fred Luddy. And this guy was initially working for Remedy Corporation. So for you to know, Remedy is one of the biggest competitor of ServiceNow. ServiceNow has used the concept of Remedy only. That is, Remedy was also a ticketing tool in the market. So this guy started up his own tool with the similar concept. It gained popularity because it is based on SaaS, and obviously right now all the customers are moving from Remedy or any other IT tool, be it HPSM and IBM Tivoli and all those stuff, to slowly and steadily all the customers are moving towards ServiceNow, because ServiceNow has decreased the overhead on any company for using the tool. As I told you yesterday, that the server and everything is not in now not in scope of the company using the using ServiceNow as the ticketing tool. So obviously that's why all the companies are preferring ServiceNow in comparison to any other tool in the market. Next, it talks about the headquarters. So the headquarters of ServiceNow is in California. It is located over there. Okay. So guys, stop me wherever you have any queries and concerns where you want me to elaborate further. Just stop me over there. So let's see the next stuff over here. The next thing it talks about is the ITIL. Have any one of you got training in ITIL? Either of you, are you ITIL certified? Do you know what is ITIL stands for? Anyone, any idea?
Yes, it's Information
Mhm.
Technology Infrastructure Library.
Correct. What else?
Mainly the ITIL is used in service-based industries, like how the process work. For
Correct.
example, like if say in IT support, if some laptop or computer is going down, then what is the process to contact the IT support? So
Correct.
there are some steps which is framed by ITIL.
So that is one aspect of it. That is, it helped the customers to understand what all process are required. As in, for example, let's say if you request service request, you have to place a service catalog, service request. If something is broken, you have to raise something called incident, so on and so forth. Correct. Now, another scope of ITIL is also that at any particular point in time, let's say if I am developing a tool. So obviously, whenever we get a requirement, what do? We only think about the technical aspect of the tool, correct? That is, whatever requirement has been asked from us to develop it, we only think about the technical aspect of it to how to achieve that requirement. What ServiceNow says is that don't only think about the technical aspect of the requirement given it to you, but also think about the better ways and how you can make your tool better than any other tool in the market. As in also think about the feasibility of the tool, the maintainability of the tool and stuffs like that. So some aspects contained under ITIL is that any tool, if it is based on the ITIL framework, ITIL says that, okay, think about the demand of the tool. Think about the capacity of the tool, the maintainability of the tool, as in how will you maintain the tool in a better way, how will you provide support for the tool in a much better way. Think about the database upgradation, and when and where required, how will you be notified by the system that, okay, the database has to be upgraded, how will you take care of these? So obviously, if the customer, so if the owner of the tool is thinking about all these different aspects and the approaches, obviously the tool delivered at the end will be much better, will have all these features incorporated. So obviously the customer satisfaction will be more. Can I say so? Because think about a situation that is, let's say, if I already know that what max load my server can take of ServiceNow, let's say I know that suppose 10,000 is the max number. Beyond that, if the users are logging in, my instance is going down. So I know that, okay, my instance capability is only 10,000. It can only hold 10,000 users in it, the system. Correct. So in this way, obviously, if I'm using ServiceNow in this particular case, I know that the ServiceNow will be a better tool in comparison to any other one in the system. Are we good here?
Yes.
So in that case, obviously, your ServiceNow becomes a better one in the market. Okay. So what it is saying over here is that ITIL is just a framework. As in ITIL, you might be knowing that multiple steps are there. ITIL talks about incident, ITIL talks about the maintainability, the availability and stuffs like that. But ITIL never forces a tool. As in, let's say, if I'm developing a tool and if I want it to be ITIL dependent, ITIL never forces that a step A, B, and C has to be always be followed. It gives you the option. So if your tool is an ITIL tool, it does not mean that it is following all the steps of ITIL. It means that the baseline of it is ITIL. It has been configured based on the ITIL concepts, but it never means that the tool is following all the criteria. It is fulfilling all the criteria of ITIL. No, it is not like that. So whatever is the convenient one for the tool owners, whatever the tool owner thinks about that, okay, this will make sense for my tool, the tool owners will only practice those steps of the ITIL standards. So ITIL itself is a training itself. It is a foundational training, and all those certifications and also are there in ITIL as well. So yeah, if you are a ITIL certified plus ServiceNow certified, obviously it is a add-on to your profile. Okay. It is not a prerequisite, but yeah, if it is there, obviously it is an add-on. So for you to know, I'm also ITIL certified. That is how I started with. I first started with the ITIL, and then slowly and steadily I moved to the ServiceNow. Okay. So let's proceed further. So over here, as I told you, that ITIL is a framework. It provides all those demands, the capacities and all. So obviously at the time of tool setup only, tool build only, if the tool owner is analyzing all these things, so obviously the customer satisfaction will be more. Correct. So let's see the benefit of ITIL. Let's see what all benefits are incorporated in ITIL. And for you to know, ServiceNow is also based on ITIL. So obviously what all benefits are there in the ITIL framework are also there in the ServiceNow as well. Sorry, does that make sense? Guys?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's see that. Let's see the benefits of ITIL. So the next slide is going to talk about it. So what are the benefits of ITIL are there? The first one is increases what? It increases the customer as well as the user satisfaction. As I already told you that if you're thinking about the different aspects beforehand, you are well prepared with the issues as well as their fixes. So obviously the satisfaction of the customers will be more. What is the next aspect over here? The next thing which it talks about over here is that it says it provides service availability. Already I told you that in the ITIL, it says that, okay, for the tool to gain popularity in the market, you should always take backup of the servers. For example, let's say if it is a production data, what if the server in location A has crashed because of any natural calamity or any such issue? So if it is production data, obviously it is a critical data. It is the go live data. So what the ITIL suggests is that at any particular point in time, you should always have the data backup with you. So that if the data is, and the backup should not be in the same location, rather it should be in any other geographical location. Why? Because obviously if some natural calamity is happening in location A, it should never get corrupted in location B as well. So that's why the geographical difference should be there in the data, wherever you are collecting the data, the geographical difference must be there. Okay, next what it talks about, let's see the next stuff. It says financial saving will be there. Obviously, rework will get reduced because you are thinking about the capacity, the availability, and all those stuff. So obviously, the rework will be less because of rework. The financial saving will be there, and obviously, because of financial saving and stuff like that, the customer satisfaction will be more if the tool is based on the ITIL standards. So all these benefits are going hand in hand. All these are interrelated. But yeah, if your tool is having these, the customers will be more relying on your tool than in any other tool in the market. Now, because ServiceNow is also a ITIL standard tool, so obviously all these benefits given over here are also passed on to the ServiceNow tool. Make sense? So let's proceed further. Let's see the next stuff over here. Let's see the next understanding. Next are the features of ServiceNow. What are the functionalities of ServiceNow? The first thing first is it is very simple and consistent to you. So if either of you know the applications like your incident and all of ITIL, you might be able to, it will be easy for you to use ServiceNow at any particular point in time. Anyway, I'll show you how to use those. So let's hold on for some time. I'll be walking you through to the key applications anyway to get you used to the tool just as an end user first, and then slowly and steadily we will be moving toward the dev part of it. Let's see the next term what it talks about. The next time it says that ServiceNow is very flexible. So this flexibility part of it, and then the fourth benefit that is easy to integrate. We'll understand these two benefits when we will be working on the integration aspect of the tool. So for now, let's skip these benefits. These benefits anyway, if I'll explain you, it will not make much sense to you. We will be talking about it at the time of integration. Okay, next is what? Next is ServiceNow is, the datas in ServiceNow are secure. How is that security maintained? Let's see that. Let's try to understand that. So if you will go into the instance, so what you will see over here is that what protocol is ServiceNow using? You can see ServiceNow is using HTTPS protocol. HTTPS means what? It means secure protocol, correct? So obviously, if it is a secure protocol, means what? All the communication is happening through a secure network, means obviously the data is more secure in this particular case over here in the system. Okay. So that's how the data security is maintained at any particular point in time, because ServiceNow is based on what? Because ServiceNow is based on the HTTPS protocol. All the communication is happening through the HTTPS. So obviously data and all can't be hacked, and that's why the data is more secure if you're using the HTTPS protocol in the organizational perspective. Okay, so these are some of the benefits. Next is speed time to production. So already we have seen in the previous slide of the ITIL benefit, we know that the speed time to production is there, as in it will take less time to develop because ServiceNow is keeping all those data backups, all those servers not there in your scope and stuffs like that. So that's why the speed time to production is there. So guys, please stop me if you have any queries. Otherwise, I'm proceeding further. Anyway, these are just the basics. So yeah, let's proceed further. Next is the architecture of ServiceNow. So this is the architecture of ServiceNow. This is how the ServiceNow has been structured. So if you remember yesterday, I was telling it to you that at any particular point in time, what are the prerequisites for ServiceNow? So I told you that there is no such scripting perspective prerequisite for a ServiceNow, because it is not based exactly on any scripting language. Bits and bits of JavaScript and HTML, yes, you will be seeing inside the ServiceNow. You will be seeing Jelly scripting. There is a scripting language called Jelly here and there, but not extensively. As in extensively, what we will be using is ServiceNow own developed scripting language we'll be using across the instance. Somewhere you will be using HTML, somewhere you will be using JavaScript and all, but not all the places. So that's why I told you that there is no such prerequisite on any of the technology or any of the platform. Okay. So let's proceed further. Let's see what is the next structure over here. How is this configured? So what is the next thing which we need to understand over here is that at any particular point in time, how is this architecture there? One second, let me maximize it. On the first layer is what? On the first top layer you can see is user interface. Obviously, let's say if I'm a customer using the tool, how will I interact? Obviously, I'll open a form, I'll fill the form, or I'll view the data over there. That is the level of interaction which I will be doing in the system. So as an end user, as a customer, that is the interface, that is the link through which I will be communicating with the instance. That is called what? That is called the user interface. Okay. So if I'm a customer, I'm using this user interface to do all the communication with the instance over here in the system. Next is what? Next on the same level is what? Next on the same level are protocols. What are the protocols used for? Protocols are used for integration. So what is this SOAP and other protocols? We will be walking you through, but at a much later stage, I think on the day 20 or something like that. So that time we will be talking about the integration protocol, the different mechanisms of the integrations and stuff like that. Okay, so let's see that at a much later stage. We will be walking you through, but at a much later stage. Okay, so let's proceed further. Let's see the next level. So after that, so on the top layer, obviously what we are trying to say over here, that is on the top layer, only the customers using the tool. Either the customers is using the tool directly from the user in perspective, or the customer is interacting with the system through the integration perspective. So the first layer is only for the customers. How customers are going to interact with the tool, that is the first layer containing at any particular point in time. Next is what layer in the system? The next layer which you can see in the system is the scripting layer. In the scripting layer, which kind of scriptings are getting written? As I told you, ServiceNow has developed its own scripting language. So in the scripting layer, at any particular point in time, we the developers of ServiceNow are involved. Now, when I use the term we the developer, what does that mean? So as I told you yesterday that, okay, all the development activities, all the server part of the tool is there in scope of ServiceNow. If you remember yesterday, I told you that. So if the server is in scope of ServiceNow, means for sure what we are trying to do over here is that we are trying to decrease the dependency on any such scripting language. So what ServiceNow says is that it says that, okay, for any person, let's say I'm a ABC, I'm working for ABC company and we are going to purchase any ticketing tool in the market. When we make a decision to use ServiceNow, ServiceNow says is that, okay, at any particular point in time, the database and server, all those aspects will always be there with the service. So why does the company need resources like us? The company need resources like us because let's say if the ServiceNow says that, okay, I'll only provide you the out of the box features, as in which are common for all the company, all the departments. I'll only provide you those application, those configurations and data. So if you want it to be configured, if you want some data to be changed, if you want some look and feel to be changed, any configuration changes or any scripting change, if you want it specific to your company, then the ServiceNow will not do it. So who will be required over there? The developers, people like us will be required in that case. We will be involved in that particular case to write scripting, to customize the instance according to our day-to-day requirement, whatever is the requirement given to us. We will be the one doing those configurations in the system. Does that make sense? So now obviously we do need to understand how will we set up those configurations in the system, but one thing is for sure, that is at any particular point in time, whenever we are doing the configuration, we are the responsible people to do the setup over here. ServiceNow is not going to do it for us. When I say I mean the developer. But as I told you, the database and server is not there in the developer's scope. So that is at any particular point in time, let's say if you are the developer, if you have to make some structure change, make some design change and all, you are doing everything with respect to the instance only. Means you are going in the URL of the ServiceNow and over there you are writing the scripts and all. So you are logging inside the ServiceNow instance to do the scripting. You are never having access to the database or server aspect of it to make the required change on the database or the server level. So if any scripting change has to be done, you will come inside the ServiceNow, you will log in over there. If you have to create tables also, modify the tables columns also, that also you will do it from the UI of the ServiceNow as only. Obviously, how and all we will be talking about when we'll be doing the development work. I will be showing you all these features and functionalities. But yeah, for now you can understand that, okay, what you will have to do in the system is you will have to go ahead in the system and you will have to provide the required scenario, required design, where you will have to provide the required scenario and design over there in the ServiceNow interface only. So at any particular point in time, as I told you that you as a developer are involved in the scripting layer, you as a ServiceNow developer will be writing script in the ServiceNow. Now, can any one of you tell me what does the server understand? Which scripting language does the server understand? Obviously, server will not understand your ServiceNow scripting, correct? So when you wrote the ServiceNow scripting, what needs to happen? The scripting which you wrote, let's say I wrote a script to send the data to the database, maybe, or to insert a column into the table or whatever it may be the case. A database only understands what? It only understands the SQL command. So means what we'll have to do is whatever scripting you have written in the system, those need to be changed into what? Those need to be changed into ServiceNow level scripting. That is, sorry, not ServiceNow level scripting, my bad. So it has to be changed to the SQL command. It has to be changed into SQL so that the server gets the understanding what you are requesting at the first place. So now this translation of your scripting language, of the ServiceNow scripting language into the database, that is the SQL command, will happen where? It will happen in the DB layer. But as I told you, you as a developer, you are involved only in the ServiceNow scripting layer. So this DB layer and the last layer, that is database, is in scope only of the parent company, that is ServiceNow. Even if you are a developer, you don't have access to it because these are residing in the ServiceNow network. So whenever you are writing script, how the translation is happening of it to the SQL command sitting in the DB layer, that is not exposed to you at any particular point in time. And obviously when it gets translated, it will hit the database, it will get the query returned to you again in the DB layer in the SQL format, and then the translation again, the ServiceNow will do the translation of that to the ServiceNow scripting layer and return you as a developer the data in the scripting layer of ServiceNow. So this is what the architecture of ServiceNow is. This is how the ServiceNow has been structured. Are we having any queries so far, guys? Can any one of you please confirm me? Are we good with the architecture? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yeah, I'm good with this architecture.
Okay, so I'm emphasizing on this one because yeah, this becomes sometimes important topic when you're going for the interviews and all. People do ask you the architecture of the tool to understand how is the tool structure. So you have to be clear on this concept. Okay, so let's proceed further. Let's see the next structure over here. I'll just walk you through to the next structure. So the next thing is what all are the key applications of ServiceNow? What are the key features in ServiceNow which are available over here? So I'm starting with the first one, that is incident. Any idea, guys, when do we raise incident? I think one of you told me that you are from the ITIL background. When do we create incident in the system?
Like when we are facing any issues, say like in my laptop the email is not working, then I will raise incident saying that my email yeah, it's not working.
Correct. That is, I can say if a service provided to you is not working as desired, then you will raise a service request. You will raise something called incident with the technician to get their help in resolving that particular issue for you. Can I say so?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see how to raise incident. Why am I walking you through is why I want you to get used to the instances, because at any particular point in time, let's say if your profile is going to be either a developer or the admin guy. If it is developer, means mostly you will be into the scripting part of it. If it is admin, means you will have to support the tool. When I say support the tool, means it will also involve interaction with the customers. So if let's say I'm a customer, I'm new to the organization, I don't know how to raise ticket within ServiceNow, I've never used ServiceNow. So in that case, admin are the point of contact for me to understand which field I have to sorry, which field I have to populate with what data, what is the relevance of those fields, so on and so forth. So you are the point of contact for the end user, for the customer, to understand the tool in the better way. So that's why you do need to understand within ServiceNow, what are the different terms when raising the incident application. Okay. So let's start with that. Let's first start with understanding all these key application. How will you raise tickets for these key application? And as I told, once this part is done, once we are used to all these key application, then we will be moving toward the structure of all these from the different angle from the developer perspective. So let's start with that. So I'm going to raise incident. So it says over here, incident means if something is broken or if something is not working as desired and you need help from the required technician, you will raise something called incident in the organizational perspective. So concept wise, obviously beat any ticketing tool in the market, the concept is same. But over here within ServiceNow, we have introduced some extra features, some extra functionalities to make it more customer friendly than ones already in the market. So let's see what all the differences are there in ServiceNow in comparison to any other ticketing tool. So let me go to that application incident to show you how to raise one. For raising incident, type incident in the left hand side. And under incident, you can see this header. I'm going to create a new incident in the system. Now, once you click on create new, this particular window is popping up for you. Ignore this pop-up which was coming. This is the particular page which is loading it for you, where you are going to fill in all the details. You are going to fill in the number and all those stuff. So let's walk you through to all the fields to get you used to all these fields. The first thing first is number. So what will happen in the instances, we have given a uniqueness on the number field. We have set up the incident table in such a way that no two records, no two incident in the system can have the same incident number. Why are we maintaining the uniqueness? Is obviously it will become easy for you to communicate. If let's say, suppose for example, suppose I'm a technician, and let's say if you have created the ticket. So at any particular point in time, suppose you have created two tickets, it will be difficult for me to understand that, okay, for which ticket are you talking to me? So if at any particular point in time, if we are maintaining the uniqueness based on any field, based on maybe the number field or whatever field it can be, obviously it will become easy for you to interact with your technician to let them know that which ticket are you referring to. Within ServiceNow, that uniqueness is maintained based on the number. So every incident will get its own incident number because I am right now a super user. I'm logged in as a developer right now in the instance. So that's why this number field is editable for me. But otherwise, in a real-time scenario, this number field will not be editable to the customers. It will get auto-populated. No one can edit it. Okay. So as I told you, every time the instance does what is, if you will click on, again, if I'll click on new, the next number in the system will get populated over here. As in for every newer records, a new number will keep on populating over here in the instance. Okay. What is next which we need to understand over here? The next thing which we need to understand over here is that at any particular point in time, next field is a caller field. What is caller field? Let's try to understand that. Caller is nothing but at any particular point in time, the person who is facing the issue is called what is called the caller. Means in this particular case, to elaborate you further, I can say that, for example, let's say if something is broken for me, if something is not working as desired for me, so I'm the caller. So actual person who is facing the issue is the caller. Why are we explicitly asking you to fill the caller? Why not it is getting, assumed and all? Because it can be the case sometimes. For example, let's say if my laptop has crashed. So obviously if my laptop has crashed, I can't create a ticket on my own. Rather, I'll request one of my colleague or someone to create a ticket on my behalf. But we'll have to let the technician know that who is the actual person facing the issue so that the technician can directly coordinate with that particular person. So that's why at any particular point in time, if you are creating a ticket on behalf of someone else, you will pull caller, you will populate caller with the actual person who is facing the issue. Now, if you can notice this caller field, you can see a magnifying glass is coming at the end of it. What is the use of this magnifying glass field? Let's try to understand that. Let's click on the magnifying glass. So if you can see, when I'm clicking on the magnifying glass, it is doing nothing, but it is pulling the user data, all the user record from the same URL, as in the URL where I'm logged in as a developer. in, there is a table called user. So what all user accounts are there, what all profiles are created in the user table, all are getting pulled over here for me to select. So for whatever user I'm making this incident, let's say maybe let's say for Pooja, so I'll select Pooja over here. So whatever is the actual user facing the issue, I'll make that particular user selection. Why is this magnifying glass field given it to you is, let me just show it to you one thing. Let's say I was not aware of the name of the Pooja and by mistake I entered PUJ, as in I made some spelling mistake. I was not aware of it, so I typed in whatever the name I had an understanding, and let me click anywhere else. I'll show you how the system is behaving right now. If I click anywhere else and I go back, what it says it is invalid reference. Also, if I'll try to submit this up, system will throw me error saying that it is an invalid reference. You need to correct it. Means what? Means the benefit of these type of field is that it will not allow human error at any particular point in time. That is, for example, if I'm entering a user who is actually not there in this URL, in this instance, it is not, his or her account is not created into the ServiceNow system right now, then we'll not be able to create an incident for that particular user in this particular case. So we can only raise an incident who is a valid user in the ServiceNow account, whose account is configured into the ServiceNow instance. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So these type of field having magnifying glass next to it are called what? These type of field having magnifying glass next to it are called reference field. Why are these called reference? These are called reference because these are pulling the data from another table. These type of field having magnifying glass will never let you type the string data. You can't type any arbitrary value. Rather, you will always have to make selection from the other table. And it is not required that always it will pull the data from user table. It can pull the data from any table. So while configuring these fields, you are specifying from which table it has to pull the data. Whether it has to be user or let's say group or whatsoever table it can be, you are specifying that in the field configuration, the configuration level of the field on the system level. Also, if you will notice, let's say if I remove this, if I type Pooja, you can see suggestion is coming. How is the suggestion coming? Suggestion is coming from the table where I'm referencing to. In that table, once you type in the data, system is looking, okay, is there any user with the same name or not? If it is, system is giving you that suggestion for you to select it. So what will I do for selection? I'll go over here to this one and I'll just click on this record over here to make that get selected for me. So I'm saying, yeah, that is the user, valid user for me in this particular case. Okay, so we have selected the valid user, whosoever is the caller over here, saying that, okay, this is the user. Let's say I'm saying in over here in this particular case that, okay, I'm raising a ticket on behalf of Pooja, saying that, okay, this is the user who is actually facing the issue in the organizational perspective. For this particular user, we are trying to raise an incident in the system. Okay, let's see the next behavior. Let's understand the next behavior over here in the system. So let's see this. The next thing over here is the location. So again, you have to populate location because the technician needs to understand. For example, let's say if I'm sitting in India and if it is a hardware issue, obviously the ticket has to be allocated to a technician sitting in, let's say in India. So it has to be in India only, because then only the technician can work, can come to my desk or something like that and can help me in setting up the required configuration. So location is generally given only to let the technician understand that if they want to work on it, at what location they have to walk in through and stuff like that. So that's why the caller, the person facing the issue, will let the team know what location he is sitting in, so he'll populate the location. Again, what you can see in location, again in the location also you can see magnifying glass, means it is also pulling the data from another table. Let's see from which table it is pulling the data. What will I do? I'll click on the magnifying glass over here. Once I do that, in the left hand side top, what is written? Location is written, means this one is pulling the data from the location table in the organizational perspective. Okay, sometimes what you will notice is that okay, the moment you select the caller, even the location gets auto populated. How it happens? Because in the user profile of those callers, the location location is written already. So if the location is already given in the user profile of a user, then the moment you select the user, his or her location gets auto-populated. How it is happening? Because scripts are written like that in the background. Obviously, if you don't want those scripts to work, or if you want to customize those scripts, you can very well go ahead in the system and do the required customization changes and stuff. And in fact, that's why the developers are required in the first place, to do all these kind of customization or configuration changes in the system. I'll show you one where the location will get populated. So this Puja I created actually. There's out of the box a user called Abel. So if you'll select that Abel user, you will see that the location is getting populated, because I know that is this is out of the box user. In fact, this user Abel tutor will be present in your instance also. So if you'll go over there also, in your instance also, the moment you will select the caller, you will notice that the location is getting auto-filled, because in the user profile of Abel, the location is automatically written over there in the user profile. And we have written the script that, okay, based on the user profile, populate the location if it is not empty in the user profile. So that's what is happening over here in the location and the user. That's how those are interlinked over here. Okay, what is the next thing which we need to understand over here? Let's proceed further. The next thing which we need to understand over here at any particular point is that at any particular point in time, what is the category of the issue? Why are we providing the categorization? We are providing the categorization because based on the category selected, the assignment of the ticket will happen. So let's say if I select software as a category, obviously the ticket needs to be assigned to the software team. If it is because at any particular point in time, if you are a customer, you will not be knowing the team who has to work for you for resolving your issue. So what you need to provide valid category, and based on the category, there will be support team in the backend who will make a decision that, okay, based on this category, what should be the assignment group, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's proceed further. So let's say, suppose I'm facing some hardware issue, so I'll select that particular category. Now again, you can see this category drop down is having some limited choices. So again, you can even get requirement from your customer saying that, okay, disable some of the categories, enable, add some categories, so on and so forth. So that can also be one of your job profile part. As in, you will have to configure some categories to add it, to subtract and stuff like that. I will be showing you, as I told you, I'll be walking you through to all these dev activities at a later stage. Now, based on the category selected, what you will notice is that the subcategory gets populated. So if it is hardware related subcategories are coming. If I'll change it to, let's say, software related subcategory will start getting displayed to it. So based on the category, the subcategory selection is happening over here in the system. So now at any particular point in time, what we need to understand in the system at any particular point in time is that at any particular point in time, the category and subcategory becomes important only for the team to understand that to which specific team the ticket needs to be assigned for. Okay, so I can come over here and let's say, suppose I say that, okay, my CPU is not working, let's say. So that is the category and subcategory I've selected over here in the system. Have you ever worked on configuration item, guys? Do you know what is configuration item?
No.
Okay, so if not, then I'll cover configuration item for you guys at a later stage, because otherwise it will be too much for you to understand. So let's skip configuration item for now. We will come to it at a later stage where I'll be briefing you what is configuration item table and stuff like that. So I'm skipping that field for now. Anyway, it is not mandatory over here for getting it filled. The next thing which we need to understand over here is that at any particular point in time, what is impact and urgency, and how are those getting calculated? So at any particular point in time, let's say if I'm a technician, if I get multiple tickets, how do I prioritize my work? I will prioritize my work on the priority field of it. So if multiple tickets are there, the incident record with the priority 1 is more critical for me to resolve first. So if something is having the priority 1 critical, means what? Means that issue is very critical to the organization. That issue needs to be prioritized first. The technician has to work on the priority 1 tickets. Okay, so that is the thing which the technician has to take care at first place at any particular point in time. So now what do we need to understand in this particular case is that in this particular case, we do need to understand that how are we, as in let's say if I'm an end user, many a time it can be the case that you don't know the technicality of the organization. Obviously, let's say if I'm an end user, for me, if something is broken, I do need to get it fixed. I don't have that much bandwidth or the understanding to understand which issue is less important to the organizational perspective, which is of high criticality and stuffs like that. So if you are end user, obviously what you will do if you are end user and if you're creating ticket for you, everything will be critical only. So that's why what we are trying to do over here is we are never making priority field editable to the customers. If you can see, priority field is grayed out. So we are never letting the customers select the priority. Why are we never letting the customer select the priority? We are not letting them select the priority because we are saying that, okay, at any particular point in time, what is happening in the priority calculation is that at any particular point in time, the priority will not be decided by customers because customers does not have technical bandwidth of the organizational perspective. So rather what they will be doing is they will be playing around with impact and urgency. They will be specifying impact, they will be specifying urgency. And based on the impact and urgency selected, priority will get auto calculated. What is the formula for calculating the priority? It is always is priority is always equal to impact plus urgency minus 1 will become your priority. So there are calculations written in the backend because of which this is running. That is priority is always equal to impact plus urgency minus 1. Let's see whether my statement is true or not. So I'm going to change the impact and urgency to show you whether the priority is getting calculated or evaluated or not. So let me change the impact to, let's say, 1. So impact is 1, urgency is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So that's why you can see, yes, the priority is getting set to 3. So when I change impact, yes, the priority got changed. Let me change the urgency also to show you again if the priority changes or not. So I'm going to the urgency, I'm making it 2. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. So that's why you can see the priority has been evaluated to 2. So that is the calculation always, that is priority is always equal to impact plus urgency minus 1. That is how the priority gets calculated at any particular point in time.
Can you make it both as low? Like I saw the priority was 4.
Okay, let's say I change this one. So what it became, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. If I make it 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4.
Okay, can you make impact low, like 3?
Low 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. So initially it was, I think it was showing 4. So that's the reason I asked you to make both as low.
Because it is dependent on both only.
Okay.
Initially, even the priority impact and urgencies were high. So that's why it was happening 4 in that case. So it is always dependent on impact and urgency only. Okay, so you can play around in your instance also this one to get whether my calculation is correct. But yeah, that is the formula, that is priority is always equal to impact plus urgency value minus 1. Okay. So let's proceed further. Let's see the next stuff over here. So when we have calculated the priority, impact, and stuff like that, let's proceed further to understand the next structure. Now, what is the next thing over here is your active. So active, I have added it on the form. Actually, it will, if you will go to your instance, it will not be on the form. So don't play around with the active. What active is, what is its significance? We will be seeing it at a much later stage. So for now, you will not change activity, and anyway, when you will come to the form, for you, active will not be there on the form. I added it because I wanted to do some change in the system. The next field is my ref. Again, this field I created for one of the customers. I wanted to, one of the batches. So ignore that one as well. Again, that is not the out of the box field. As in, if you'll go to your instance, this field is not there in your dictionary. I generated this field. I wanted to show the customers or the student how to generate one field. So that's what I did in the system. So ignore that one as well. Okay, so if you'll go in your instance, these fields will not be there. So that's why I don't care about it. Next one is short description. So when you are facing the issue, the short description does nothing, but it is over there you are elaborating what over there you are elaborating what is the actual issue which you are facing in the organizational perspective, what is the problem and stuff like that. You are elaborating that in the short description. So let's say if my CPU is not working, I can write over there in the short description that CPU is not functioning as desired and stuff like that. For example, let's say I can give anything. I can say it is having boot up problem, whatever it can be. I'll just elaborate all those short description. A single liner is called short description, and the detailed step of how to replicate the issue will be given in the description field over here. So all these fields you will elaborate it further to let the customers know what exactly the issue you are talking about at any particular point in time. Okay.
Yes.
So let's see the next step. Let's understand how it is working. So I'll go over here in the system and I'm going to configure this one. Next on the right hand side is opened and opened by. So what you can see over here, you can see all these fields are automatically populated over here in the system. Okay. So now what you need to understand over here in this particular case is that you can see opened is what? Opened is keeping the date and time when the record is created. As in the moment you click on create new, the timestamp, the date and time at that particular point in time, the moment you click on create new button is populated in the opened date and date field. And opened by is taking the person, whosoever is a logged in person, whosoever is clicking on create new and generating the ticket, his or her name gets automatically populated in the opened by. Opened and opened by, again, you can't change the values. Even if you'll change it again at the time of submitting, the system will rewrite it based on the timestamp and based on the user who is trying to create a new record. Why it is taking open by a system administrator? Because if you can notice over here in the left hand side top, I am logged in as system administrator. That is the user account with which I am logged in right now into the instance, into the URL. So open by is the person who is raising the ticket and caller is the person who is actually facing the ticket. It can be the case that both are same. It can be the case that both are different at any particular point in time. So based on the configuration, you can specify whether it has to be same or whether it has to be different. Are we good till here, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Next is what over here? The next thing over here is contact type. So you as an end user, you are giving your preferable mode. How do you want the technician to contact you? But again, at the same time, you are not stopping the technician to contact you via any other mode. You are just telling your preferable mode. For example, let's say I say that my preferable mode is walk-in or whatever it may be. So I'm just giving my preference. I'm not stopping the technician. You can't stop the technician to contact you via any other mode. You are just giving your preference that is your preferable mode of communication. Is that making sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so just let your preferable mode know to the technician so that they can contact you accordingly if that is the convenient mode for them as well. Next is what? Next is your assignment group, state. State we'll walk you through later. I'll be showing you the entire process of state change automatically. So you will not be changing state, as in if you are a caller or if you are the open by person, you don't care about the stage. So for you, you are just filling the rest of the fields. Next is your assignment group. So if you raising the ticket, if you are aware that, okay, which is the concerned technician team which have to work on the ticket, then what are you doing in the system? Then you are populating what? Then you are populating over here the assignment group. You are telling that which is the group which has to work on the ticket. Okay. Next is what over here? The next thing which we need to understand over here is what? The next thing is your assigned to. So assigned to is nothing but in that group, who is the actual person fixing the ticket for you? That is the assigned to. So as I told you, obviously, if suppose I'm end user, it is not always required that I'll be aware of it. So that's why I'm leaving these as empty. I'll populate these at a later stage where I'll be showing you the other process of the incident. So I'm not populating this one. Okay, so let these be empty. We will be seeing these structure after some time. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to submit the record saying that, okay, this is the information which I wanted to pass. I've given all the relevant information. So what will I do? Me as a caller or me as a open by person, I'll click on submit to submit this incident so that the incident record gets created into the system. I'll come over here and I'll click on the submit button. So now the incident has been created in the system. Now what will happen? Now a support team will be there in the organization which will decide, which will allocate the incident to the concerned technician team based on the category and subcategory. So whatever is the category and subcategory, based on that, the system will take care of the configuration, take care of the support team will decide what is the assignment group to which the ticket has to be assigned to. So what will support team do? They will do nothing, but they'll just open the record, populate the assignment group, and their work is done. Let's do that. Let's come over here in the system and put the relevant configuration. So I'll go over here in the system. This is the incident record which we created just now. So the support team will go to this particular record. And again, if you can notice, again, you can see assignment group is what? Again, it is having magnifying glass. What I told you guys, what is a magnifying glass field called? We do have to remember those concepts, guys. So you will have to remember the terms, whatever.
Reference field.
Reference field.
Correct. It is a reference field. It is pulling data from another table. That's why it is called what? It is called a reference field over here in the system. So what are we going to do? We are going to select the particular data from another table. How will we do that? So we'll come over here in this one. We'll click on the magnifying glass and we'll make the relevant data selection over here in the system. Let's do that. Let's do the selection over here. So I'll come over here. You can see all the groups are getting displayed to me, all the multiple groups existing in the organization. So whatever is the group who will be working on the ticket, I will just make that particular group selection. So let's say suppose I want to allocate it to, let's say database or whatever the group it can be. I'll just make that particular group selection over here in the system. What is the category I've given? I've given category. Let me change it to hardware only because I've given the category. So it is not related, but yeah, I'm just trying to walk you through in a real-time scenario how it will be. So after selecting the assignment group, what will happen to the assignment group, to this particular group, that ticket will get allocated to. Obviously, the group will receive notification saying that, okay, a ticket has been allocated to your group, this, that. After that, what the group will do, obviously, once this particular group is getting the ticket, they will go ahead in the organizational perspective and what they will make a use of. After getting this particular ticket, the group will allocate this particular ticket to one of the technicians in their group, correct? So what you will notice, the moment you populate the group in the assignment group, you will see, then if you click on the assign to will not show you all the users. Rather, it will let you select only that user which is member of this group selected in the assignment group. So you will only be able to select the users who are member of this assignment group given over here in the system. Does that make sense? So you are elaborating that particular configuration over here in the system. Okay. So let me select, suppose I'm selecting David Lu as, and I'm saying, okay, this is the person responsible to work on the ticket. So obviously this person will take up the responsibility to work on the ticket for you. Okay, so I'll show you the remaining of the process tomorrow, guys. So are we good till here? Any queries do you have?
Yeah, Saloni, I have a query, but it is not related to incident. I don't know how to reset the password. Like I forgot the password, so it is giving me a randomly generated password. So every time I need to generate the password and I need to get into the system.
No. So what you can do is you can go to users. And once you log in into your account, you go to users and there you can reset your password. Go to your account, go to that system administrator account. There will be a password field. Reset your password over there, whatever password you want to do. Log out and log in back again. So this time it will prompt you for that new password.
Actually, like I saw the knowledge article. It says that there will be a related list, reset the password, but I'm not able to see that related list in my user account.
That's okay. You can go to the user table. You can search for your user account, that is system administrator user.
Okay.
And in the password field, give the new password and update the record. It is done.
Okay. Okay.
Do that setup. It will be running up, okay for you.
Okay. Let me try that one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay then. Chalo guys, let's catch up tomorrow and then we'll continue.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.